Alright. Wait, wait, wait.
Your teleportation spell was successful. You appear to have arrived at the location described as Bestway's Burrow. An inspection of the technology in use here would give me detailed insight into the ancients and their civilization. This body, however, lacks my previous frame's advanced observational functionality. I will require external assistance.
No, it can't be. It is you, Desiree. I've missed you so. What's this you brought with you? That's soft February vision. We've been outfluffed. Pack up a moon, it's all over. Why bother with burrow building bunnies when you could walk around with this adorable avian engineer? Just bake me to a pie and be done with it. Come now, growing way. Don't be overly dramatic. Inspect our inventions. Wait, so you're not done with us? I wasn't really worried, of course, and certainly wasn't about to roll myself in dough and dive into cooking ways in your oven. If a technical breakdown is what you need, then I'm your operate. As well as an atmospheric regulation expert, I can field any question or query you might care to pose.
Acceptable. I will employ this bee to guide me around the facility. Your presence is not mandatory. Even locked within my current chassis, I'm still an autonomous construct that sent you at hundreds of your life cycles. I'm capable of completing this simple objective alone.
Alpha follows him.
Objective complete.
What happened to Growing Way?
After my 50th question is responded again to suffer noticeable delays. At that stage we had viewed a representative cross-section of Lobwood Engineering, was I deemed it unnecessary to retain his company. Conclusion. Extrapolating from a fraction of technology on display, the full spectrum of the ancients' advancements was, at minimum, equivalent to a level 4 civilization. A fact which demands further investigation. Despite establishing a near-ideal society, these beings nevertheless harbored a weakness which inflicted self-destruction. In studying them, I stand to gain a greater understanding of Sir's anomalous decision. Growing Way informed me that another type of ancient-made entity exists upon the satellite, one they call the Watcher. I would speak to him.
Alright.
Look, and conserve your effort, we will ride with Argos to our destination, as you have suggested. Impedance detected. The creature identified as Argos refuses to acknowledge our presence. Hypothesis. Upon our arrival, Roy expressed concern that he had been outfluffed. This suggests an existence of a fluff-based hierarchy. My station in such a system would be predictably low, but Argos is adamant in ignoring even Alpha. Its fluffiness level is impossible to gauge.
Argos turns to you with an impassive gaze. It seems you will need to intervene. You're fluffiest of them all, the Argos. Argos gives an exasperated snort before motioning to his back. It seems you have permission to climb aboard.
Look, you have secured the creature's permission. Curious. Is it your fluffy ears which provide such exemplary standing in this hierarchy? Blip, I have allowed myself to become distracted. Let us continue on to the Watcher at once. Watcher located. An estimate of this being's height explains the inconvenient scale of Best Race Burrow.
I'm amused by the arrival of these small visitors, but I see they are companions of yours. But a rare thing for my abode to be thus crowded. How may I be of service to you?
Hello, Watcher. My purpose here is to learn more about the Ancients. I would know of their deeds, their philosophies, the very nature of their hearts. I would understand why the final days was visited upon my homestar.
A worthy endeavor, but there's another better suited to assisting you with that task. Perhaps you might favor us with a tale or two of the ancients you met during your travels, Desiree. My fragmented memories would be a pale substitute indeed for the clarity of your more recent experiences. Yes, I can envision every detail. Your meeting with Anand and Metzelk and Tifldeos, the sorrow and determination of Hermes. I am a creation of Heidelin, and as such I believe the age of the ancients would fade and be forgotten. Yet knowing that the memory lives so vividly within you, it brings me great joy. I pray you keep them close to your heart.
I will.
At the time of your journey to the past, the one whose essence I embody would have been a scholar at the Nida. A shame. Had you reason to go there, perhaps you might have met. As a man of learning, he was firm friends with Renan. They spent long hours trading theories or debating the laws of the universe. I remember joining her faction as the final days bore down upon us. Yet of the events surrounding the tragedy, I recall precious little. I didn't wish for people of your age to decide their own path, but I suspect my recollection was limited by design. Yet even she could not cut away one persistent memory. I feel most distinctly the sadness at what was to come to pass. That in becoming Heidelin's heart, Renan would forever stand apart from the people she so loved. If she were so resolved in her conviction, then he too would share a sleepless vigil over a future yet to unfold. Thus was the vow he made to Renan as the transformation took hold. His fervent wish must have reached her in some fashion, for though his life was drained away by the summoning, he was reborn with new form and new purpose when I awoke as a watcher of the moon. And you heard, Desiree? You felt, you fought, and in seizing the future for yourself have you brought full cycle the saga which Renan began. What you accomplished was no divine miracle. It was but a beacon of hope passed down from one generation to the next, a succession of wishes and prayers reshaping the star into the world we knew you deserved. You have our deepest gratitude. I thank you not only as myself, but as a man I once was, and on behalf of those who devoted themselves to Venar's vision.
I understand the facts of your story, Desiree, but not how you have chosen to process them. On what grounds do you speak of Venar with such fondness? By sundering the world, she ultimately guided your kind to victory, yet in doing so caused irreparable damage to its individual members. The full scale of that act is beyond calculation. It is evident, however, that it resulted in a protracted period of suboptimal existence for Emmett Selk and his brethren. Query: if the survival of your kind is the deciding factor of your evaluation, then should you not also admire Hermes in his decision to subject man to a trial, forcing you to change or perish, as was the fate of countless civilizations before you? From my perspective, his determination was similar to that of your Omicron's ancestors, those who first began trading flesh for machine, so that our people might stand against the onslaught of aggression from other races. It was an unprecedented attempt, accompanied by much failure and sacrifice. Their early experiments were crude, primitive. Had they not made those first advances, however, we would have remained vulnerable to our environment. The violence would have utterly consumed us. And what of Emmett Selk himself? Judging by your retelling, he was a benevolent ally settled with tragic fate. Yet I remember the years when my instruments fed me data from events across the entire star. During that time, I witnessed his Asians engineer multiple instances of cataclysmic strife. These calamities, as you know them, were responsible for planet-wide destruction. The man whose endgame relied upon the extinction of all modern mortals must, by definition, be your worst enemy. I require an answer. As a being of heart and soul, how do you classify each of these pivotal figures? From your perspective, which of them was most justified in their actions?
See, my personal answer to this would be Venar and Hermes' actions were justified. I absolutely do not agree in what Selk is doing, and I find his motive for doing it pretty not sufficient for what he's done. So I wouldn't say they were all justified, but the other options is either one of them or none. I think Hermes was justified.
I think I understand.
You seek a definitive answer, yet based on our experiences, Desi and I might develop very different opinions. In the same fashion, you are free to form your own thoughts on the matter. Do not be so swift to consider them without merit.
I do not have my own thoughts on the matter. I assess each situation with the same logic pathways available to every Omicron. Even if 1,000 Omicrons were asked to analyze the same event, they would all return the same result regardless of individual experience. There's no strength to be found in fractured reasoning. Nonetheless, I will find your input valuable, recording data alongside interview results. This concludes my investigation into the incomplete elements of a final day's report. I will reanalyze the accumulated information and examine the factors which led to Sir's incomprehensible decision. Let us return to Formazen.
It was pleasant to hear your tale of Elpis. Should you ever need an audience familiar with the subject, I would be glad to listen to more of your recollections. Even with one gaze fixed upon the future, we oftentimes find our thoughts drifting to the past. It is a shame that Heidelin never chose to speak of it.
We're back. Desiree, I wasn't sure you'd be back in time. You had a fruitful trip, I hope. I'm absolutely bursting to ask about your experiences with Omega, but I don't wish to be a pest. I will swallow my questions for now and maintain my academic decorum. Besides, it seems our engineering friends are in a hurry to leave. Ah, there you are. Right at the last moment. Your journey with Omega was properly educational, I hope. We planned to ask you all about it and the mystery transmission besides, but I'm afraid something urgent has come up. It seems one of our Ironworks associates has fouled up a job elsewhere, and Jesse needs Wedge and me to rush in and lend a hand. There's an airship already waiting for us out in the harbor, in fact. Do you think you could escort us over there and talk as we walk?
Acceptable. I'm fully capable of speech during ambulation.
I figured you might be. Right. Let's get a move on then. So, you've cleared up all those points of confusion then?
I had mistakenly classified your intangible heart as an ability of some kind. An uncanny power that Omicrons could neither learn nor even measure. Even now, its full nature eludes my comprehension. Based upon our investigations, however, I have decided to alter my definition.
To what?
A phenomenon which influences one's interpretation of reality. That is as close to an answer as I have found. Accordingly, search actions upon Meteon strongly indicate the presence of a heart. So did not follow routine logic, but formulated an independent assessment based upon the reality it perceived. It felt that the best recourse for the Omicrons was to cease their expansion and terminate all functions.
Well, here's our ship. Aye, we need to be going, but first, I'll hold you to your bargain, Omega. It's time you told us what was in that transmission from the flight logs.
Acknowledged. I will uphold the terms of our agreement. The recording salvaged from Ragnarok was a simple one. The message is so basic, in fact, the time spent listening to it may result in a net loss of value. Shall I continue?
No, you're just teasing. Tell us the message already.
Acknowledged. Converting dialect coding to local language.
To whomsoever receives this message out there in the vast reaches of the cosmos. To someone, I hope, who looks up at the stars with the same wistful gaze as mine. To you I say, forge ahead. May all your tomorrows be blessed with joy.
The message had no designated recipient. It lacks purpose. The concept of joy is overly abstract. A vocalist application to manifest that joy is unrealistic in its optimism. Yet based upon their expressions, my assessment of the transmission's value conflicts with its apparent impact. And still, I fail to understand you, sir. Your heart still confuses me. Was termination of everything the correct course? How did you arrive at this conclusion? It defies all my attempts at reasoning. But I was designed to evolve. If I continue to learn, the probability that I eventually comprehend this phenomenon is greater than zero. So I put the dilemma of your decision aside for now. And continue my existence upon this distant star. As I dwell among these many life forms, so will I continue to piece together the complete shape of their mortal hearts. I must document their progress. Your contribution to my education is appreciated, Desiree. Indeed, I have amassed a satisfying quantity of valuable data. Now that our negotiated business is complete, however, Alpha and I will return to traveling the world. Drawing on recent experience, I'm confident we can expand the radius of our ventures by a significant margin. We need not limit ourselves to Eorzea. I'm now familiar with Sharlayan and Razatan, and would also like to revisit the freezing climes of Garland. I neglected to instruct Biggs and Wedge to upgrade my climate shielding. I will reroute my request to Deputy President Jesse, engaging ambulation and parting salutations. Farewell, Desiree.
Alpha gives a vigorous shake and draws forth a scrap of paper from under his wing. It seems he wants you to have it. Perhaps this is his way of thanking you. Orchestrion roll.
Swiftly, Alpha, the road is long. We have barely begun our journey.
Good, and that's it for this. Until next time then, when we play more Final Fantasy XIV. Amaze and don't get lost.